Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, the Istanbul talks, round number 2. This is not going to be a Minsk agreements number 2. It's going to be another set of negotiations between the Russian delegation and the Ukrainian delegation. I would like you from the get-go to understand that Putin has never said, I will show you, never said he will be going to Istanbul. He said our negotiations will start again, will continue from the first ones that were stopped in April 2022, when Boris Johnson then showed up in Kiev and changed everything. So in this video I will discuss the following. Zelensky is ready to go to Istanbul to participate, to meet Putin. That's the first issue. The second one, Putin never said he will go over there. It's interesting, but that's how the West will try to portray. If Putin doesn't show up, but Zelensky shows up, see, Putin doesn't want peace. This is the whole point. In this Zelensky going over there. Maybe Putin will show up. Now, Trump said, I might show up. Now, if Trump shows up, that means that Putin might show up. Are they trying to force Putin's hand to show up in Istanbul? Well, we're going to discuss that. That's the second topic. The third topic, the 3 key topics for potential Ukraine-Russia talks. So we're going to have here, according to Steve Witkoff, who is the Middle East envoy, Trump's United States of America's Middle East envoy. He's Jewish. He deals with the Middle East, but somehow he deals with Ukraine and Russia as well. Anyway, he names 3 key points that these guys will discuss. And the other one, I have on Kremlin issuing an update on proposed Ukraine peace talks. And why did I pick this one? I wanted to show you that Putin never said he's going to be showing up over there. It's always talking about their delegation, restart the negotiations, continue the negotiations started there. He never talks about a summit. These guys are, Zelensky talked about a summit. I'm going to go over there and meet Putin. Putin never said he's going to show up in Istanbul. Nevertheless, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, spoke with Putin about arranging the new session of round of talks. Now, I don't know if Putin is going to show up or not. Maybe they just want to get him over there so they can shoot down the presidential airplane of Putin. So, the last topic is Witkoff tells something that we all knew from the very beginning. There can be no peace deal on Ukraine without Putin's approval. I mean, this is not like, oh my God, Witkoff is a genius. No, he's allowed to say it. That's it. He's allowed to say it without being attacked by the media, obviously. Why? The media, you know who they are. All right, let's start with the first topic. Zelensky ready to show up at in Istanbul, and he welcomes Trump's arrival. Trump right now is in Saudi Arabia, getting about $1 trillion in investments. Can you imagine? We need to go to Saudi Arabia to ask for investments. Why don't you just take it? Just kidding. Anyway, let's start with the first topic. Ukrinform. The right idea. Zelensky on Trump's intention to be present at the meeting in Turkey. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he supports the participation of US President Donald Trump in talks between Ukraine and Russia in Istanbul on May 15. The head of state said in a post on social media, Ukrinform reports, and I'm quoting, I have just heard President Trump's statement. Very important words. I supposed Donald Trump's idea of a full and unconditional fire long enough to provide the foundation for diplomacy. No, Donald Trump told you, told Zelensky. I covered that in the video. Yesterday, I think it was. Go to Istanbul. The Russians will not agree to a 30-day ceasefire. He agreed to 31-day ceasefire, okay? Or a 43-day ceasefire, not on your 30-day ceasefire. Why? Because you are on the losing side. The loser don't get to set the conditions, but somehow it's an inversion of reality. So that's a little weasel bazaar mentality from Mr. Zelensky Stein. Right here, I supported Donald Trump's idea of a full and conditional ceasefire, not I supposed, long enough to provide a foundation for diplomacy. You're talking about diplomacy? You voted it. You have it as a law, not discussing with the Russians, not dealing with Russia. You. And we want it. We are ready to uphold silence on our end. I support President Trump with the idea of direct talks with Putin. I have openly expressed my readiness to meet. Yeah, with a lot of conditions until Trump told you, go there immediately. I will be in Turkey. Okay, good, excellent. Oh yeah, okay, you're very tough. Why are you so trimmed? Why is your hair washed? But you're just working hard like the guy's dying on the front. This is such a clown. The head of state also said he hopes that the Russians will not evade the meeting. No, the Russians will show up. I don't know if Putin is going to show up. And of course, I'm quoting, all of us in Ukraine would appreciate if President Trump could be there with us at this meeting in Turkey. This is the right idea. We can change a lot. President Erdogan can indeed host high-level meetings. Thank you to everyone who is helping, the president stated. He's the victim and everybody else is on his own side, he thinks. Anyway, or at least that's the way he portrays. Now, the allies who have no power proposed the 30-day unconditional ceasefire. If rejected, Ukraine's allies plan to strengthen sanctions against Russia. And Russia says, go ahead, we don't care. That's what happened. Later, Putin proposed holding direct negotiations with Ukraine. Putin proposed negotiations direct, but not here, where they were interrupted in 2022. You see, there's a continuation of Istanbul in 2022, and that was between diplomats and experts, not Putin. All right, here. Zelensky said he expects Russia to confirm a ceasefire starting on Monday and will personally wait for Vladimir Putin in Turkey. First, Putin did not say he's going to be there. First thing, you will not hear that. You will not find that. As of today, the May 13th at 6 a.m. Eastern Time in America, Putin did not say anything about his participation. This is from the 12th. Just so you know, this is from last night, right there, from 8 o'clock p.m. last night. Okay? So he never said that. And, of course, all of us in Ukraine would appreciate. Okay. Today, on May 12th, Trump said he could fly to Istanbul, where Zelensky and Putin may meet in person. These guys are trying to force Putin to show up. That's what it is. All right, so that's the first one. According to the Russians, again, from 8 o'clock p.m. yesterday, Trump could take part in Russia-Ukraine talks. The US president has called the potential negotiations in Istanbul a very important event. And I'm going to show you. There's nothing here. All right. A resumption of direct negotiations between the two sides, which was proposed by Russian president, could take place in Istanbul. All right. It's nothing like this. It's not, and I'm going to quote Trump. I think you may have a good result at the Thursday meeting in Turkey between Russia, not Putin, and Ukraine. I believe the two leaders are going to be there. I believe the two leaders. I was thinking about flying over. I don't know where. I'm going to be on Thursday. I've got so many meetings. Yeah, you're very important, Trump. You're the best. But I was thinking about actually flying over there. Great, great, great. And again, Zelensky said the right idea and reiterated his claim that he was ready to meet Putin in person. Thus far, Moscow has remained silent on the prospect of the Russian leader traveling to Turkey for negotiations. You got that? So whenever these guys are going to tell you that Putin backed off, that's going to be the next media report coming from these operatives. Putin backed off. Zelensky was over there. Trump was going over there. Putin, sabotaged the peace process. That's how it's going to be portrayed. If Putin doesn't show up, he never said he's going to be over there. Remember, they made it up. You're going to see that. In proposing to return negotiations, the Russian president reiterated Moscow's commitment to resolve the crisis. We are set on serious negotiations with Ukraine. The aim is to eliminate the root causes. NATO. of the conflict and to achieve a long-term lasting peace for a historical perspective. All right, this is when the guy who were talking about the truth. However, Putin's proposal was backed by Trump, who urged Kiev to immediately accept it, to show up in Turkey. Not to show up, to participate in that. He said, should accept it immediately. All right, so what do we have so far? I think it's clear Zelensky will go to Turkey. Second, the delegation will go, Ukrainian delegation will go to Turkey. The Russian delegation will go to Turkey. I don't know about Putin, because Putin did not say anything about it. And they also said it yesterday at 8 p.m. US time, Eastern time, as I said, I mentioned that article. These guys are trying to force Putin. He's not showing up. He never said he will. He said the delegations. We're going to continue what we started. What did we start? Negotiations in Istanbul. Well, you can say it's the next step. No, that was interrupted. He said interrupted of something. If I pee and I stop peeing and I continue peeing, that means what? I interrupted, I start over. The same act. It's not going to be a change. I'm going to poop in the same time. That's Putin showing up. Sorry to give you this kind of whatever. Okay? So just, and Trump said, I will be showing up. Trump is not going to show up over there. If he's going to show up, he's going to show up. If Putin shows up, it's fantastic. And there are all three of them are going to have a little hora over there, and that's it. But if Putin doesn't show up and Trump shows up, then it's going to be obviously the end of it. Insult, Putin is not serious about it. That's the whole thing. Now, if Putin shows up, I don't know if these guys are going to try to blow off his plane. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying. The Russians already moved their air defense systems in Crimea. I read an article. So they took it from other places, the Ukrainians claimed, and they put it in Crimea. Now, Crimea is, I'm going to show you a map, and where Turkey is, right here. Let me show you. I don't know if, they didn't say if it was for this event. So here is Crimea, Crimean Peninsula, and Istanbul is right here right here. This is Istanbul. This is Crimea, this is Istanbul. This is NATO, all this is NATO, all right? So he's going to fly to NATO. Okay, and they put all their defenses right here. Not all, I'm sorry, a lot of them. The Ukrainians claim that they depleted other areas to beef up Crimea. Maybe these guys want to shoot the Kerch Bridge while Putin is traveling here. We're going to find out. Nevertheless, just so you know, all right, nothing with Putin show up. And let's see what the supposed three key topics will be discussed over there. Very disappointing, but a beginning is always good. The beginning towards something else. This is from Ukrinform. This is from this morning, the 13th of May, 11:37 Kiev time. So that means it was about what? 4 o'clock a.m., 4:30 a.m. Eastern time. Witkoff names three key topics for potential Ukraine-Russian talks. So this is what this guy says. I think the major issue here are the regions. The nuclear plant, it's how the Ukrainians are able to use the Dnieper River and get out to the ocean. There are things here, so this is the 3-1, all right? So the regions, nuclear power plant, and the Dnieper River. What is he talking about? The regions, okay? So this is Donbass here, this is the Crimean Peninsula, and these are the problems. So this is Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, Kherson, and Crimean Peninsula. They are talking about this right here. First. Second, they're talking about the power plant. Power plant is in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant by the Dnieper River on the Enerhodar. Right here, this is Enerhodar. This is the exact power plant right there. This is the power plant, the nuclear power plant these guys are talking about. This is on the bank of the Dnieper River, which doesn't have any more water in here because someone, and Zelensky, because Zelensky tells the truth, said the Russians blew up Novokakhovka right here. This dam, where is it? Right here. This one, if you remember, they blew up this one. Therefore, there's no more, right there you can see, Krapatsaka Makamaka. No more, how do you call it, reservoir due to the dam. So that's the Zaporozhye power plant right here. And then the third one is the Dnieper River used in order to have access to the Black Sea, krapa krapa, and from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean Sea right here, I mean the Aegean Sea if you want, the Mediterranean Sea, and then go here to this, bop, and then go from Gibraltar. You know, this little rock is still owned by the Brits. It's an island, it's owned by the Brits right here. But hey, the imperialists are the Russians. Thank you very much. And then go to the oceans. This is what Witkoff was talking about. So from here, boom. All right. That's what it is, my friends. So they want the Dnipro because the Dnipro, if you go up the Dnipro River, so let me go like this. It starts, okay, let's go. You go from the mouth of the Dnipro River, maka, you turn around here. You see here? You turn around here. Zaporozhia, you go here, you go here, you go and you go here, and then further up. Let me just make it like this. Further up, you go to other places, which is, I would say, I don't know, Kiev maybe, no? Kiev? So this is it. You see, right there, it's going down here, and these guys want to have free navigation with Kiev, Zaporozhia, and go to, as I said, go make this little pop, go here in the Black Sea. Got it? All right, so let's see what else these guys are talking about. Kremlin issues update on proposed Ukraine peace talks. Again, there's nothing here. Russia is ready to resume. You know what resume is? Continuation of the same thing. Direct peace talks with Ukraine. You see, it's not Putin. And says, reiterated stressing Moscow's serious commitment to reaching a lasting settlement on the conflict. All right, I'm not going to go on Sunday. This is what Putin said. Russian President Vladimir Putin offered Ukraine the opportunity to restart direct negotiations without any preconditions in Istanbul, which Kiev unilaterally walked away from. So they're talking about that kind of negotiations, the ones that the way they restart. So it's clear there's nothing about Putin showing up. I mean, you can, right here, Zelensky said he would be waiting for Putin in Turkey on Thursday personally. Nevertheless, he maintained that Kiev awaits nothing here it says about that. I'm going to go down and maybe you can find it where this guy say, yeah, we're going to show up. Nothing of Putin meeting this guy or anybody else. And then we're going to go to the last topic, which is Witkoff says something that we all knew, but he's allowed to say it, and then he's going to be hailed like a genius. He's not a genius. He's just allowed, with no negative consequences, to say things that we already knew. You can't beat Russia, has nuclear weapons, bye-bye. From the very beginning, you can't inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. They're going to use nuclear weapons and they fuck everybody up. Clear? Clear. That's the first truth. And Russia invaded Ukraine unprovoked, really, with NATO at its doorstep. I think that's a pretty clear provocation and, you know what I mean, unprovoked, all right, and unjustified. Really, you kill my relatives in your little neighborhood, I'm going to come and punch you in the face. That's what it is with the Russians in... It was an example, YouTube, don't get idiot again. That's an example. And that is with the Russians in East Ukraine. Our ethnic Russians, you punch them in the face over there, we're going to come and smack you. But hey, there's no justification whatsoever. Really? Then you infringe on your minority, our minority, the Russian minority in Ukraine, with their media, political, and in school and language, our culture over there. It's another reason we can come and smack you. So, all right, don't kill our, ethnic Russians in Ukraine. You're going to have a problem with us showing up at you. But it's unprovoked. Just 3 I gave you. Besides, they say about the Nazi, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you build statues of Bandera, who even the Poles consider him a Nazi collaborator, not the Russians, the Poles, who are your friends. They're not friends. I mean, really? Anyway, they had a big problem with Antonescu in Romania, with Marshal Antonescu's, the Romanians building 1 or 2. It's not rehabilitated as in the nation, as the government says, yes, Antonescu is a good guy. We're going to have now streets, Marshal Antonescu. We're going to have a lot of buildings named Antonescu and a lot of whatever that's called, busts in his name. No, they didn't, here and there. But still, that's not good. And he collaborated too, right? Nevertheless, he collaborated, yeah. He got Bukovina and Basarabia back. and then he went over to Russia, which, I'm sorry, Soviet Union, and that was bad. Not good, bad. But what can you do? Turn around? All right, let's go to the Witkoff's genius statement. Witkoff says there can be no peace deal on Ukraine without Putin's approval. Yeah, that means let's remove this guy and then we're going to have peace, right? I mean, the logical conclusion could be that. Maybe if he goes to Istanbul, this guy's going to take care of him. There can be no peace agreement on Ukraine without the approval of Russian President Vladimir Putin, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said on Tuesday. And I'm quoting, I've talked to President Putin. There is no deal without President Putin's sign off, Witkoff said in an interview with Breitbart News, released on Monday. The president has issued an ultimatum to both sides that without those direct talks, and if they don't occur quickly, then he believes the United States ought to step back. You can't. You're part of the conflict. Where are you going to step back? These guys, again, that's a big bullshit. From this conflict, whatever that means, and just not be involved. Well, you are. The U.S. is allowed by the Russians. The Russians don't say anything because it works okay so far. They allow the Americans to identify themselves as being the negotiators. They're not a negotiator. They're the mediators, my bad. They're negotiators for the losing side because they're part of it. How many billions of dollars they gave those guys? Intelligence, weapons, and many other sanctions against Russia. You're part of the conflict. So you're not actually mediating, you are negotiating in the name of your losing side. And right now, to save face, they're going to say, well, I'm walk away from the mediation. They're not going to walk away from the conflict. I mean, unless they want to be beaten up again, which is can't get rid of Putin and Russia. Thank you very much for being with me again today, my friends. I will keep you posted on this issue. Remember, when this is going to happen in Istanbul, if Putin doesn't show up, now you know that these guys are going to say, see, they sabotaged them. Peace talks, he's not serious about it. Trump is going to come and say, well, we have to destroy evil. He's not serious. That's how they're going to do the spin. Remember, they never said so far, today, the 13th of May, right? Tuesday, they did not say Putin was even supposed to go over there. Zelensky said, I'm going to go. He's like, you're not invited. Send your delegation. Continue what they started and when you guys interrupted. Interrupted what? With what's his name? Mr. Boris Johnson showing up, then the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and told these guys, what do you think you're going to do, man? What the fuck you think you're going to do? Stay here. Tell them you break everything. No. Putin, we don't like anything we decided a day ago. Why? Click. That's exactly what the Ukrainians did. Can you believe Boris Johnson? Look at him. Does he look serious to you? But he's serious, right? Bobo, whatever they call him. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.